into the 1980s. During the height of their respective popularity in the 1970s, Welsh frequently opened for Fleetwood Mac and would sit in as lead vocalist on Hypnotized when Fleetwood Mac would perform that song. So they got back together, and while they weren't together with the band, they toured together. In September 1977, Welsh released his first solo album, French Kiss, a mainstream pop collection featuring contributions from Mick Fleetwood, Lindsey Buckingham, and Christine McVie. The album was certified platinum, peaking at number 12 on the Billboard chart in 1978. It yielded 3 hit singles, a revamped version of Sentimental Lady, produced by Buckingham and McVie, that made it to number 8 on the Billboard chart, and is, to this day, Welsh's signature song. Ebony Eyes, which peaked at 14, featuring Juice Newton on backing vocals, and Hot Love, Cold World, which peaked at number 31. Welsh followed up the French Kiss album with 2 albums in 1979. In February, Three Hearts, an album that replicated the rock disco fusion of French Kiss, peaked at number 20, earning gold certification, and spawned the hit Precious Love, which charted at 19, and the follow-up hit Church, also charted but not nearly as high. His second effort that year, November's The Other One, saw Bob's first solo recordings without any help from Fleetwood Mac members. In other words, he said, that's it. I'm cutting all ties with Fleetwood Mac, and I'm doing it on my own. The album didn't even hit the top 100. No singles. No real notable songs. So without Fleetwood Mac, Bob Welsh floundered again. From 1980 to 1981, he hosted a show called Hollywood Heartbeat. It was an early video music program. His subsequent solo albums in the early 80s, Man Overboard, Bob Welsh, and Eye Contact, were not successful, and his career began to decline again. In 1999, Welsh released an experimental jazz loop-based album called Bob Welsh Looks at Bop. He followed this up in 2003 with his Fleetwood Mac Tears and Beyond, which featured new recordings of songs he originally recorded with Fleetwood Mac, as well as solo hits. So he went back to the Fleetwood Mac well, because anything that didn't involve Fleetwood Mac was not successful. So he was kind of riding that Fleetwood Mac wave. In 2006, he released his Fleetwood Mac Years and Beyond 2 album, which mixed another half dozen new compositions along with familiar members of his Mac solo remakes. He released more CDs with Fuel Records in 2008, 2010, and 2011. Now, Welsh's career was going into the toilet again. Again, without Fleetwood Mac, in his eyes, he was nothing. He turned to drugs to cope with his mid-1980s career slump. He partied with Guns N' Roses, who were rehearsing in Welsh's garage at the time. He quickly became addicted to cocaine and heroin and was hospitalized for detox in the spring of 1985. Welsh reflected on that era as being a very bad boy, very decadent, very cynical, and very stoned. He said it was not a good time. The day he was released from detox, he was introduced to Wendy Armistead by Tyrone Power. Tyrone Power, the actor, his daughter. So they introduced the two, okay? And Welsh and Armistead were married in December of 1985. They moved to Phoenix, Arizona to maintain Welsh's sobriety. Welsh abstained from all illegal drugs for the rest of his life. Now, while in Phoenix, they formed a short-lived group called Avenue M. The group went on to tour and recorded one song for our Greatest Hits compilation. They later moved to Nashville and remained there for the rest of their lives. Welsh, who was now 65, had problems. In fact, he had undergone spinal surgery 3 months earlier, and it appeared he would not recover. A friend of the guitarist, Bert Hiberson, said that troubled Welsh, who feared that he would be a burden on his wife. It appeared to Bob that he was not going to recover. That's according to Bart Hiberson. that Welsh didn't think he would recover. He felt he was going to be an invalid. Now, Harbison was the executive director for the National Songwriters Association. Bob Welsh had watched his father become an invalid and watched his mother care for him for many, many years. So he penned a letter to his wife and told his wife, Wendy, I'm not going to do this to you. On June 7th, 2012, around 6 a.m., Welsh took a gun and shot himself in the chest in his Nashville home, and his wife, Wendy, discovered the body. He left a 9-page suicide note and love letter for Wendy. He was 66 years old. Wendy died in November of 2016 from a heart attack, and she was also age 66. Bob and Wendy Welsh are buried beside each other in Memphis, Tennessee. An exhibit chronicling Welsh's career opened at the Musicians Hall of Fame in Belmont University in Nashville in 2018. And despite the lawsuit over a decade earlier, Mick Fleetwood wrote a tribute for the exhibit. His estate has endowed a scholarship to support the Belmont School of Music students. And there lies the story of Bob Welsh. I never knew any of this until I started to research it. I knew he was with Fleetwood Mac. He left, and that's when Fleetwood Mac took off. I know he had the solo career. Then you didn't hear anything from him. Then he winds up dead. Okay. The life of Bob Welsh, in some ways, is not unlike the life of many of us. Bad choices, bad luck, bad karma. You're on top one day, and then you're not. Major League Baseball players, NFL players, NBA players are the same way. I mean, once you're on top, you know you're not going to be there forever. But once you're on top, you can never go back. A lot of people handle that differently. And it's that way with you and I, too, in our jobs, in our careers. We were the top salesperson. We were the top guy in the shop. We were the top fill in the blank. And then something happens and you're not on top. And nobody is ever on top forever. That's not how it works. And you've got to have the right psyche to understand that success is fleeting. And sometimes, even though you were on top once upon a time, it's okay to drop back a bit because you're never going to be on top forever. Artists, they're just different monkeys because what makes somebody talented enough to be able to think up, imagine, and write a song that people enjoy and will pay money to see and pay money to buy, pay money to own, or nowadays it's not own, but it's rent. That takes an exceedingly different talent from most of us. And I theorize that people only have so much talent, most people. Sure, there are the exceptions to the rule. There's the person who's the genius is an overused word, but talented individual who can be artistic and have business savvy and can keep his head screwed on straight. There are those, but they're few and far between. Bob Welsh just wasn't one of those. And sometimes life gets too hard and you check out. And that's what happened to Bob Welsh. Listen to some of his music. I mean, he had a lot of good songs. I mean, Angel, that was recorded with Fleetwood Mac in September of 1974. It was also covered by Jonathan Wilson. China, which was a song Bob Welsh wrote, but was recorded by Sammy Hagar. Ebony Eyes, of course, was written and recorded by Bob Welsh in 1977, covered by other people. Future Games, written by Welsh on Fleetwood Mac album in Future Games in 1971. Hypnotized, again recorded by Fleetwood Mac, written by Welsh. And Sentimental Lady, written by Bob Welsh performed by Fleetwood Mac, performed by Bob Welsh, and covered by 9 other artists. Very talented guy, troubled individual. His life took a lot of turns, and but then everybody's does. Bob Welsh, R.I.P. Well, that's it. I'm done. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. If you did, send me an email. Let me know that you did. Or click a like on my Facebook page, or send a note to jamesstrongshow@hotmail.com. I do answer my emails. And if you like, you can go ahead and subscribe. The way you subscribe is you send me an email. Send your email to jamesstrongshow@hotmail.com. I will put your name on the fans list, and I will go ahead and send you a download at time of publication. You can download it and listen to it at your leisure. That's it. We're done. Until next time, this is James Strong saying adios.